Hey there guys, how's it going? In this video for today, I'll be having a discussion about like a Rule Zero and a pre-game power level discussion. Alrighty, so today I'm having a discussion about discussing with your player group Rule Zero and a pre-game power level discussion. Like, as I've said many times, there's nothing wrong or with playing higher power games as long as that's what you want and what everyone's sort of expecting, because someone's just going to come out and say, oh, okay, cool, that's fine. Look, I don't have, a deck that's, up there at that sort of power level. And I don't normally play at that power level, so I'm not very used to it and whatnot, this sort of thing. So, anyone that just does not want to participate or can't participate or doesn't think they can participate in that much higher power level game can just be like, hey, well, I'll catch you in the next one or whatever. I don't know, or, maybe when you guys finish, because you'll probably be done in, a few minutes maybe or whatever, I've, got my decks and I'll just wait for you guys to finish or whatever, and I'll get on quickly on the next one or whatever, like when you guys want to just play some more medium or jankier decks, or whatever, then I'll be interested, but that's the kind of discussion you've got to have when you get into playing games like this. If you say, okay, cool, I'm going to build this deck, but my deck is a silver border deck, or I have one or two silver border cards, or I have, one of the Nephilims as my commander, or I have, decided that I want to play Biorhythm in my deck because, that's an alternate win con or whatever for the deck, and it's one of the only ones I can sort of, I wanted to put in because mine's a, 100% creature deck or whatever, or basically a 100% creature deck. So it's just another way, if, no one else has many creatures or whatever, that I can just kill people, whatnot. Or I've decided to put Coalition Victory in my deck because my deck's a 5-color deck and I want a, little bit more janky sort of win condition rather than just like, oh, I'll play Thassa's Oracle or whatnot, or I'll just play some other random combo or whatnot, whatever. But that's what I want to do. I want to try to get all these different permanents. And I know, again, with that, you can have one thing that basically is all colors, blah, 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 whatever. But still, that's a build around for the most part. But again, like if you're running cards that are banned, or commanders that are banned, or cards that aren't technically legends like the Nephilim or whatnot, or you're just running like a custom commander, like, hey guys, look, I've built this commander, I've sat down and decided, okay, what should my commander do, or what do I want my commander to do? How powerful is too powerful for, what I want to do, and how do I balance it out and all that. And I've designed this commander and play tested this commander and, had some success and also had some failure. But again, it's still, a deck that I've built around, not just, oh, I've just thrown together the commander that says basically when you cast it or whatever, you win. Like, it's actually a build around. It's not just, oh, here I win or whatever, or I basically win or whatever. But there are a lot of commanders that are like that, that are just like, well, you've got to kill on sight or, whatever. You can also have those pre-game discussions to say, hey, look, guys, my decks are, actually just tribal elves or something or whatever, but, when people look at your commander and kind of go, is this a CDH deck, or how powerful is this? Do we just have to kill you first? Look, guys, no. My deck's just tribal elves or something, it's just blue-green elves or something, whatever, or it's just a whole bunch of mana dorks and I just want, I just want to tap them for extra mana, or I want to do this or whatever, and my deck's all about big mana and whatnot and all this other stuff. So there's so many little things that you sometimes need to discuss in that Rule Zero, sort of section. But I think like Rule Zero versus like a power level discussion is completely different. Power level is like sometimes subjective, but honestly, when you go, dudes, okay, I know this deck is fairly strong. It's not, the level of a precon, certainly, and maybe it's a bit more powerful than an upgraded precon as well. So it's up there, or it's getting up there, certainly. So it's more competitively minded. And, okay, cool. What does my deck rely on? My deck relies on, you know, essentially storming off, taking extra turns, taking extra combats, whatever, generating lots and lots of mana, and finding a combo to win. Well, that means that your deck is much stronger than a whole bunch of people that are just running, like I attack dot deck. Like they've actually got to untap, get to their combat, get through their combat, and actually like have their creatures connect to other players for them to actually actively do a whole lot. Even if you say, well, your board state looks, pretty decent, well, that can be deceptive, because it's like, well, I still can't attack very easily, or if I do, I'm just going to get knocked down on the crackbat, and then what do I do? Like it's not 100% simple like that. Yes, sure, somebody can be in the lead and can do a thing, but then again, if again there's that player that's basically playing some form of combo deck or whatnot, or they don't really have to go to combat to win, all they're doing is playing all these burn spells or doing something else or whatnot, then it's like, well, it's much easier for that person who's playing that burn deck or that combo deck to win because they don't have to, worry about, actually getting in for combat. All they have to do is cast their spell that does damage, or all they have to do is cast the artifact or the pingers or whatnot, and they don't have to risk those pingers or whatnot in combat. They just have to tap them and make them do damage, So decks that are certainly more powerful aren't, don't play against ever. I will always say that as well, because it's like, well, your deck's just a little bit more powerful than my deck, but you've got to know that. I've got to sit there and go, oh, okay, I'm fine playing this, very janky deck that's, 2 or 3 levels below yours, but, I have that in my mind that your deck certainly is much more powerful when it's doing its thing. And that's the main thing. It's when the deck is doing its thing, because any deck can sit there and go, oh, well, yes, it's very inconsistent, or any person can go sit there and say, well, it's very inconsistent at doing what it does, but when it's doing what it does, it's much more powerful than what my deck is doing, because like my deck is just sitting here going, okay, cool, I have a whole bunch of 1/1s or whatever that I actually have to untap with and actually get through combat with. And yes, there are ways that can be helped and whatnot, but again, like when you're saying somebody's playing, a combo or burn deck or whatever, first thing that happens is, pyroclasm or whatnot for one. And okay, cool, all my creatures are gone and I didn't even get to untap with them. And now I'm probably doing nothing for the rest of the games, because now I don't have my board state, and now I don't have probably as many, resources in hand to recover or anything like that. So those are some of the things that you have to take into account. You're not just, again, this is all about fun for the table. And I've sort of said this a few times where, I've sort of said that should you always make the correct play? And it's hard to say, because it's like, well, that's the thing that maybe I should do, because again, what am I going to do against, a whole bunch of 1/1s? But then again, it's like, well, do I really need to worry, because I'm just going to kill people in the next couple of turns? So what's my big problem with this person playing their deck and actually getting to do what they actually want to do? Yeah, sure, I'll lose some life, or I might lose some life, but again, what's the big problem in that? Like, again, but whatever. and maybe that's a bigger discussion to have in another time. But again, I do think that it plays a significant role, just the way people play as well. Like, if you maybe even have that little bit of a discussion, guys, I like to play in a more, this is the correct play sort of way. Some people are irked by, like, well, now I just don't get to do anything in my game because you said, well, I have a board wipe or I have a wrath effect or whatever, and I'm just going to take out this person before, their strategy before they can do anything. I'm going to kill their thing before they can do what they're going to do, and then I'm just going to take over the game. Cool. Great. So that's one of those things where it's just like, again, it might be one of those things that you might want to say, hey guys, look, I just really want to play a much, more powerful game than what I think the rest of you guys are playing, or a much more, this is the right strategic game to me, type game or whatnot. Again, so it's so tough to decide and to figure out like what belongs in there sometimes. Like, but Rule Zero, just like getting back to, like, almost wrapping up now, but like getting back to it, is there any reason for you to have a Rule Zero like discussion? Okay, there isn't. Okay, move on with your day. Like, like if you're playing a medium power deck or a janky deck, I don't really think that there's that much of a reason to have a pre-game like power level discussion, because like you're just playing a middle of the road deck that most decks are going to have a decent chance against and going to have a decent game against. But it's those people that are playing much more powerful decks, or perhaps you don't know how powerful your deck is. So that might be as well another thing to say, hey guys, look, I haven't played this deck yet, but I think it might be good, or I think it might be strong or whatnot. So I just want to play it just to see what's going on with it. And that's another thing about sometimes decks that are more powerful. You just don't know what to do with them, because it's like seemingly spinning your wheels to do nothing, because you don't really have the other pieces that you need to actually go off and do a big thing. So you're just doing all these little random things, but you're doing a lot of these little random things, so people are starting to be like, dude, this is silly. At any point, if he finds another card that actually lets him do this and do that, he's just going to go off and, like, we're not going to be able to stop him. So, like, all this incremental stuff that doesn't seem like a lot actually will amount to a lot once he can, untap his thing or do this and do this multiple times in a turn, which is, one or two cards that he can just like go and tap and untap, tap and untap this and that and do all these other things. So, there's all these little things that people, will have to think about in that regard. Like, so it is important to sort of say to people, hey, I don't know how good this deck is. I haven't played it, but, like, obviously if oh, well, it's just, Boar Tribal, or it's Sata Tribal, or something, semi-janky, it doesn't sound like it's that good, like, or whatnot, and, then of course you're probably safer to be like, well, it's just a tribal deck or whatever, or it's just trampling, or like flying tribal or whatnot, like a keyword tribal deck or whatnot, or maybe it's keyword soup deck or something like that. So, like those decks that are just aggro decks or whatnot often don't. +1 counters, sometimes you can do a lot of stuff with +1 counters, but honestly, again, it's just another aggro deck, and it folds, or it basically folds to removal, like at some point, you're just going to run out of cards or run out of things to do, or you're just like knowing that you're overcommitting to the board. So yeah, there's always those things. But yeah, that's my thoughts pretty much on the Rule Zero and pre-game discussion. you certainly need to have them sometimes when you're playing new people or whatnot. And sometimes in game you can have a little bit of a discussion too to say, hey, I'm about to combo, or I could combo off, or I could win on my next turn. So maybe people will focus on you, but people might be like, well, I don't know whether that's actually true or whatnot, or I might win or whatnot. But some people might be like, well, also, I don't really care. I just want this game to sort of end, or I just want to see if you've really got it. Plus, if you've got it, I really can't do much about it. So, if I don't actually kill you here, or if I don't actually do what needs to be done to the other piece that's on your board already, then I really can't do much about it. So it's like, well, game over. So, it's tough to be in that position because it's like, well, if I kill you, then I have to worry about this other person killing me on the crackback because, again, that's how it often works. So I'm just going to kingmate you if I don't kill you because you're just going to win because I can block what he's doing, but he can't kill you or whatnot, these little things. So there's always those little things that you have in-game as well to be like, oh, guys, I actually found my combo or whatever. I found something that I didn't realize works this way or whatnot. I didn't realize this combo was in my deck. Actually, I found that the other day where I was just like, wait a minute, if this worked with this, then this would be just an insane combo and I would just like win. That would be so dumb. I didn't even realize this was in my deck. Like, I just was like, wow, that seems dumb. But anyway, as I said, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about, a Rule 0 and a pre-game power level discussion. Write your thoughts down there in the comments below. I'll always be sure to try to respond to all the comments. Really enjoyed discussing all kinds of different things with you guys. And I'm glad to try to bring you guys, all of this hopefully helpful stuff. And yeah, I'll see you down there in the comments. Hey, you've just finished watching one of our videos. A bunch of other videos are popping up on your screen now for you to check out, so why not check them out?